I'll check on my iPad that everything is working, because I'm still a little bit, skeptical that that everything's working out. Like we had some issues last time, but yeah, it looks good. We seem to be live here, which is great. Nice. Good. Okay. So let's see. Seems to be the case that, stream is live. People can join now. Let me share or do the Twitter thing to share this. And say that we're live. I'm just retweeting my last tweet for this. Oh, I accidentally liked my own tweet.
Oh.
That's not good. You shouldn't do that, right? Brings bad luck.
Yeah. I think they have to disable that. If you go to Medium, they have disabled that, so you cannot clap for your own article.
Oh, wow. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That makes sense. Alrighty. I just tweeted this. Okay. All right. We're using a new tech this time. Let's hope everything works. But of course, we are very confident that it does, as always.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, let's wait a little bit more, because maybe there will be people joining. Let's see about that. At least I hope so. We have to make sure that we see the chat. So if somebody's in the chat, always feel free to post there. We are happy to see that. We always like the interaction. That was basically the best thing about the last live stream, that people are interacting with it so much. That was really cool to see. We both really enjoyed this. So yeah, people should be able to see the screen now, which does not offer a lot yet. So let's switch back to the both of us for now. And we need to do the screen sharing thing, right?
Yeah, you can share it.
Yes. Let's do this. I need to check. We're here. You're already in the call? In the Google Meet call? I don't think so.
Oh.
But that shouldn't be a problem. Can still join. I'm in there sharing my screen.
Do I need to join now? Or?
You need to join in Google Meet, yeah.
Okay. Let me join now.
But you need to mute yourself.
Yeah, I'll mute it.
Oh, nice. We have people here, which is really good. Hey, Matt. Hey, Mert. Mert? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Cool that you're here. Stream seems much better compared to previous one. Yeah, we didn't set really high standards in the first one, I would say. So thank you, of course. That's
so
how
did you know about StreamYard? I didn't really know about it in the beginning.
Oh yeah, so we're using StreamYard for this one. I think there's the icon, because we are still exploring it to see how well it works. So far, it looks good and promising. I heard about that. I think a colleague of ours, Nash, he recommended this. And I think quite a lot of people are using it already. It's really easy. I mean, if it wasn't obvious from the last live stream, I have no clue around the whole how to do live stream thing, and it was really easy for me to set up. So yeah, I think so far it looks good. We might explore this more and even upgrade if it's a good thing and we use it regularly. So yeah, I think we found at least a good way to bring both of us onto the screen, because we can only quickly for like how everything worked last time. After the technical issues that we had in the beginning, the solution was that we had a weird mixture of a Google Meet call that we had in the background and a phone call. So I think for Google Meet we shared the screen, and we had a phone call where we heard audio, but I still didn't hear Amos over my AirPods. So I basically had to put my my phone so loudly that I could hear him in the background, and this is how we did the conversation. So it feels like at least we leveled up in our level of professionalism. But like I said, I think the standards were not so high, but everything's looking good now. I think we should be ready to go. Do you have anything, Amos, before we start?
No, I don't have anything yet. So you can start with the one who submitted it first.
Oh yeah, and the one who submitted it first is Matt, who is watching this and is in the chat. So let me quickly check out the solution here. Of course, everything is very well prepared. Oh, I thought we start off with showing the video once again. And let me switch screens. Yeah. So this is the animation that was the challenge. So it's the airdrop animation. We see the person in the middle and the circle building up, the text animating at the bottom, and then the circle disappears in the end. So it's not a spectacular animation. Like, it's not crazy from the effects, but it's like it has different layers or different parts of it, and also there's different stages to the animation. So things need to happen one after the other, which was one of the challenges for this one. And yeah, so that's the setting. And let me pull up Matt's solution for this one. It should be here. So let me pull this onto the screen. So you should be able to see this now. And if you have questions around anything, just feel free to add them in the chat. We're always happy to discuss them. First of all, I want to show the video of how the animation looks like. And here is what Matt shared in the pull request. And as you can see, it looks really cool. It has this nice shimmering effect, which I really love. And it's just looking very smoothly. The images look great inside there. Text animates nicely, and the animation looks very clean overall, I would say. So I think he did a great job there. But let's look at how he did it. So there's a views folder and the extensions. Oh, there's a gradient extension. And if anybody knows anything about me, then it's like I love gradients. So only with this one, you already have my vote for best solution.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So the shiny thing seems to be the gradient with a lot of variation here on the opacities, which looks good. So it's increasing and then decreasing. Cool. But yeah, let's start from the content view. Okay. So we have the airdrop view, which is the baseline of the solution. Let me quickly close this. I hope it's real. I think it should be right. If not, then please do a comment in the chat. But yeah, let's see. So there's a few targets that are defined, which is basically the different contacts that Matt decided to send the imaginary file to, and they're put into a scroll view. The C stack has a C stack. At the root, there's a color, so the background color, and then a scroll view on top, and an H stack with the different targets, which have some padding. An airdrop target is defined as with an ID, which makes sense for the stack and the scroll view, or for each loop. So I think you wouldn't need the ID here. Just as a quick tip, you could make this one as identifiable, because the identifiable protocol is what automatically takes care of the ID. Because if all elements in the array you're looping over conform to the identifiable protocol, you don't need to manually set the ID. And this is the case here. So you could basically get rid of. But yeah, it's also totally fine to use the ID here, just as a quick tip. Okay, and then you are using the airdrop target view. So let's look at this one. It has a view model. Nice. Close the preview. The view model is initialized in the initializer. Nice. I'm always struggling to find a good way to do this, because I don't like to manually use the init functions for this. But I think it's a very valid way to do it, and it works very nicely. So let's look at this here. So again, we have a Z stack, which has a V stack that has a person progress view, a text, and another text. All right, makes sense, right? We have the different elements that are shown on the screen. For the colors, we are depending on a view model color, which is nice, right? It uses all the animation parts and extracts them into the view model, so the view is not too crowded, which is cool. It even invalidates the timer that's running in the view model when a view disappears, which is also a good practice to do. So that's looking good. And yeah, so not much to discuss otherwise here, right, Amos? What do you think?
I think everything is self-explanatory, so you can just move on to the next file.
Okay, let's look at the view model next. So this is where the logic of the animation happens. I think this, like I said in the beginning, that's what Amos and I were most curious about, like how the order of the animations will happen and the way to do this. And we already see here, it uses something like an airdrop send state, which will be an enum, I think. I'm not sure where it is. It's in the send state here. Nice. It has the pre-send, connecting, in progress, and done states. And one thing that's really cool here is that it uses the colors that are dependent on the enum state right here in the enum itself. And I think this is a cool way to group logic to where it best belongs, like in the enum here, because the color is very dependent on the state that the current that the enum has. So it makes sense to put it in there. Same goes for the opacity. And the only problem with this is naming, right? So color, it would probably be helpful to have it as something as like the context or context text color, something like that. But I mean, yeah, it's just very narrow to criticize that, but it's perfectly fine, right? I think it's a very cool way to put the logic to where it best belongs. So it uses the airdrop send state in the view model. Then we have a progress and then opacity. We have a name and for the image, a name and the image. This is where the airdrop target thing comes in with the name and the image. We have a timer and a state text. Okay, so this is also depending on the state, which is interesting. Like, I mean, this could also have gone to the enum as well for consistency, because this is basically the same thing than the color and the opacity and the animation parameters here. So I think it's probably a good way to have that consistent and have everything in the same way. But yeah, I mean, that, like in the chat, Matt already said that this is a very nice use of enums. Yeah, I totally agree. It's very smart to do this, and yeah, that's a great approach. Oh, great! But let's have a look at what happens. So we have the init function, which is just assigning the name and the image. That makes sense. And then we have the simulate initiate, which is triggered once someone taps on the object. So what's happening there? The progress is set to 0 and the send state to connecting. So when the send state is connecting, we have the text jumping to waiting and the color to be gray and the opacity to be 0. And the opacity is used here for the state text. Okay. And then with animation, we have the ease in out to have the duration 1 to set the opacity to 0, which auto reverses. So it will basically has this blinking effect then, right?
Yeah.
And then it defines the wait time. And after that, like it dispatches that. So after 2 seconds, it will call the simulate connected function, which sets the current state to in progress, which will then trigger the circle animation, I think. And first sets the opacity just to 1. Okay, so to show the text. And then it uses a timer with a time interval of 0.01. So every 0.01, so every 10 milliseconds, I think that should be the step progress function is called, which asynchronously updates the progress to go up. So that's where the circle starts to animate, and the progress, like once it has reached 1, so once the circle is complete, it calls the self-simulate completed function, which invalidates the timer, which is a good thing, always invalidating it. And after a duration of 0.1, it sets the send state to done. All right, that's basically everything that's going on in the view model. What do you think about that?
I think you left one file also. I saw this person progress view.
Yeah, exactly. That's the next one. True.
Yeah. So just let's see what is there as well.
Yeah. So I think like for this one, it looks good, right? It's just doing one thing after the other.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. It's also good to have different functions for the different states of the animation. It clearly differentiates the different states. So I think that's a very good thing to switch that up. So that you clearly have an indication of, hey, this is where connect is simulated. This is the step progress. This is where complete animation is finished. So I think it's a very good approach to do this. Like when we share our solution, one thing that we did differently, and we just wanted to play around with that, is we used the async await functionalities of Swift to do this, like one step after the other, which also works nicely. But I mean, it's perfectly fine as well to use the evergreen of the dispatch queue in async after. I've used this many times as well, and it's working perfectly. All right, so let's look at the last file here, at the person progress view. So what's happening there? We have a geometry reader, which is good, right? It's dynamic sizing, which is always something that you should aim for, because the size your animation is shown in might change, and this is the best way to have this adopt dynamically. And the line width and the person width is depending on that one. So person width is half the size, half the width of the available space, and the line width is 3%. I don't know why 3%, but probably it's like he tested this, and this is the way it looked best, I would assume. Okay, so what's happening then? We have a circle at the root, which is filled with gray color. We have padding with that of the line width. And then the circle has an overlay, and the overlay is a Z-stack. And now this has some interesting functionality inside. So if the send state is not done, so basically if the animation has not yet finished, we're looking at a circle with a stroke. So this is the outer circle. And on top of that one, it shows the progress circle, which has the blue color and the same line width. And it's trimmed to be from 1 minus the progress to 1. It's rotated 90 degrees to make it start at the top, right? Because otherwise it starts at the left or at the right. I'm not sure, Amos. Do you know it?
The from is the left, and then the one the true value is a stroke end, so it will be the one on the right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. And then it's rotated again by 180 degrees on the x-axis. I think you could probably combine these two, right? Like the rotation and the rotation 2D effect.
I know his point. I think if you remove the rotation 3D effect, it will just rotate from the left in anti-clockwise direction. So he's using that to just flip. Yeah, he's just using it to flip the layer.
Yeah, right.
So that it rotates from the right. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I think you can also remove the 3D rotation and then put a negative sign in front of the 2D rotation. So like minus 90 should still work. And then you can comment the 3D rotation. It will work in the same way, but this also works.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, right, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's different approaches for the same solution, right?
Yeah. So you can use a different method.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so this is basically the outer circle animating, right? And I'm showing this probably the wrong way. But yeah, right. What else? If an image is set, so if there's a contact image, he's showing this with the image, with the resizable, and setting the frame, clipping this with a circle. That's perfect. That's exactly the way I would have done it. Which doesn't mean it's good, but like I would have had the same approach there. Otherwise, he's showing the system image of person Phil. I think that's also the one we used, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, we used a slightly different one, but yeah, it's perfectly fine. It looks good. It's just what you prefer, right? What did you want to say?
No, I didn't want to say anything. I thought you were just moving down.
All right. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, the image is shown. I don't think there's anything spectacular around that one, right? It's offset a little bit with some padding to probably match the look to make it look good. The SF symbol we used for this is called person crop circle fill. But yeah, I mean, perfectly fine to use that one. That's not the most important part. But what's interesting is the shiny one. So that's how he achieves the nice shiny look at the end when the animation is done, which I love. Like, this is the really cool touch that he adds to the animation. And that's, look, because I have no idea how he does it, so I'm very interested in that one. So basically, it's a linear gradient, and it's the one that we had a look at, like this one. He adds it as an extension, which is also a good thing. Shiny, and it has these values here, and let's have a look. So it's starting very small with a small opacity. It goes slightly up to 0.1, 0.2, up to 0.75, and then it decreases again in the same ratio, right? So it starts at 0.015 and ends there, and goes slightly up and then down again. And if we look at it, okay, so this is the shiny one. The start point is leading, so in the leading middle, and the end point is the trailing. That's also in the vertical center then. All right, and the offset is on the x-axis is what he's animating. All right, so he's animating from geo.size.width to minus geo.size.width, which is from right to left then, right? Or isn't it?
It depends on the condition. If it is set to false, then here it will be like from right to left.
True.
So it can be right to left or left to right. Yeah.
And it's probably left to right because that's what the animation shows.
Yeah. Left to right.
So is animating is false in the beginning of the zoom? Yeah, it's false. So it falls here in the beginning, so on the left, and then when it's when it appears, it's told to move to the right. Then, so you're right. You're right, as well as the linear gradient at the end. It's rotated again with minus 45 degrees, which makes it like the diagonal one. Otherwise, it would be how would you call it? Horizontal.
Yeah.
And then it's clipped again with the circle, which is nice because otherwise it would leave the bounds of the contact circle and the padding of the line width. So I really love this because it's such a simple way to animate the shimmer effect. And I would love to know, because Matt, you're in the chat, right? Did you come up with that yourself, or did you see it somewhere else? Because like, there's no way that I would have come up with this solution on my own. Like, I would have never gotten that idea. So I think it's a great idea, and I'd love to know if you came up with that, because if you did, then I have many questions for you.
I saw one example on the Apple TV website. They have this reflection on an image. It looks really similar to that. I recreated that some time ago. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And yeah, it's really great. So one comment here, like here, I think he's using two animations. You see the first one is with animation, and then there is also the animation modifier. So I think his intention is to use linear animation for the gradient, and then use the animation modifier for the entire parent group. So in this animation, it's like everything will be overridden by the ease in. So his intention is to animate the gradient with linear, but in this animation, it will be overridden. The linear animation will be overridden by ease in, because if you use both the animation modifier and then with animation, the animation modifier overrides the with animation. So one thing he can do is to move with animation to the parent group and then change the animation modifier for the gradient. Yeah, in the opposite way. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can make this visual to see that the shiny effect is actually animating with the ease in. I need to play this. Should work, right?
Yeah, it works.
We're not seeing the shiny effect, right? Do
You,
I need to
you
click
have to
it?
go to the. I think you should go to the other one.
Well, it should be this one.
You should go to the content view also. Yeah.
Isn't? Oh, yeah. No, this one should be fine. Let's make this a little bigger. Let's click it. And sending. Yeah, I think I can't really distinguish whether it's an ease in or a linear animation.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to tell, but you can just see it
immediately. I think there's
the code.
An easy way to check, because I can make this one last 5 seconds, and then let's again go here, and it's played again. So if it's using the linear one, then this will take quite a while. Okay, it's not there anymore. Did I miss anything?
I don't see it too.
Okay, did I mess something up?
Can you go back?
All right, so I did it for the other one. Let's make this one. Let's see if it's working now. Okay, Matt just commented as well. Oh yeah, now. So it's using the linear one, Amos. It's actually it's not overwritten there. So it's making use of the linear one.
Okay.
But like one thing I think that might be confusing is to use the combination here of the with animation and the dot animation modifier. But I know that sometimes it needs to be done to make like to achieve certain effects. It's basically necessary to do this. So yeah, let's quickly check. Like wrote something in the chat. Used a similar grade for a radial lighting effect on a different project. Yeah, so repurposed it. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I think perfectly fine, and I think a really cool animation. We discussed this for almost half an hour now. But it's a very cool solution, so I really enjoyed it.
It's really interesting. Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to say about this one, Amos?
I think overall it looks really, really great, because I didn't think about just adding this reflection on top of the animation. Yeah. So it looks nice.
Yeah. And again, also the code-wise, I think it's a really cool and clean implementation. You thought of many things there, like having the model, the lifting, having the structure here with the different elements, having the animations like modularized in the respective views is also something that's very cool. And the usage of the sense state with the static properties
or the properties, the variables that are dependent on the different states here. I think it's a very cool way. A lot of good practices that other people who wanna still maybe try something out should definitely have a look at. So a lot to learn from this one. So it's a thumbs up from us, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Yes. All right. So let's come to the next one, which is the one by Silvio VR. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Let me quickly check this one out. And we have it here. Let me open it up. By the way, I'm using the GitHub CLI to check out the pull requests because it's not a native Git feature, I think. It's really cool to have that because like with one command, you can directly check out a pull request on GitHub to directly have on your machine, which is cool because I didn't know about this before. But yeah, it's a very good thing. All right, let's look at this one. We have a content view that has, well, some content. We have view helpers. We have a view model again. And yeah, looking good. So let's first look at the content view. All right, so it has the view model again, same as with Matt. I think it's a good practice to extract the code into a view model. I can already say we didn't do it. In our solution, we didn't do that because that's actually code that we wrote, I think, a few months ago, the last time we met.
It was in May in Amsterdam.
It was in May, yeah. So quite a few months ago. But yeah, we didn't want to change this to make it more like we keep the traditional thing that we created. But yeah, let's first go through this one. So we have the view model, and then we have some states here: circle progress value, and is text visible. Again, we have the Z stack with the black color in the background, and then we have different views. I like the usage of the variables with the different UI elements. That's another approach, like the approach from Matt we just saw was to have this as separate files, but this is also a nice approach. I think you can use both. If you have state such as animation for the child view here, it's probably a good idea to extract it into its own file. But otherwise, it's also totally fine, especially if it's not something that's used to have this as a private variable here inside of the content view. All right, so we have the profile image view. We have the device name, which is taken from the constants. There's quite a few. And we have the state text view. I think that's the bottom text that's changing because this one will stay constant, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's look. We have the profile image view, which is the image, which is using the system name. And they're using the same one as we did, like the person, crop, circle, fill. But like we said, that's just a nice touch with the resizable and scaling. The foreground is taking, the white color with an opacity. We have a very specific padding modifier with 9, but I think that's just like making it pixel perfect, which you can do, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I think the only case you could make against this is that it's bad from a reusable perspective. So if you want to reuse this in a different size, for example, like you would have to change the padding, right? And the way that Matt did it, for example, with the geometry reader, it's a little bit more responsive, so you can more easily use this in different contexts. But I mean, that's not part of this challenge, right? It's just rebuilding this one, so it's perfectly fine to do this with hard-coded values here.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have an overlay of this image, which is the two circles again, which are one over the other. They have a z-index, which
So,
I'm not sure they need.
I think no. I think he doesn't need it. If you remove it, I don't think it will be a problem because the circle is already in front of the other circle in a z stack, so you don't need a z index. Yeah, but
Yes,
one thing he did differently is also like the one we showed previously for the math example. You see, he used this 3D rotation, but here he doesn't use the 3D rotation, which is totally fine. And by setting the angle to -90, it will just be drawing from the right. Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, that's perfect, right? So let's see. Let's first have quickly a look at this one. Yeah, so it's building up here with the circles. And if I comment out the C indices and we run it again, it should work as well. Let's see. Yeah, right. And the reason it does is if you have a Z stack, like the ordering of the views you put inside matter. So the first one, like they're basically stacked on top. So the first one is like at the lowest point, and every next view that comes into it is just stacked on top of it, right? So you can make use of this. But yeah, I mean, it's just a nice touch. So you won't necessarily need this. But yeah, one thing I want to say is for the constants, like I think it's a good way as well to use a constants file, or I mean, you can use different approaches to this, but to have the constants that you have at a certain point, like here in his file, because if you want to change values here, you have it in one place, right? Yeah. This is not always great, but I mean, for this one, it works nicely, I think. Just to have like one point where you want to change parameters and play around with, like especially with in the development phase, I think this is a nice way to always be able to know, like I can go there and change these values and then have a look at the animation again. So yeah, I think it's a good approach to do this. All right, then we have the circles. The approach is the same as previously, the trim stroke, and you mentioned the rotation effect, which he does differently. I think we do it the same way. Yeah, we do it the same way, like with the single rotation effect. But as we said, it's perfectly fine to do it any other way. And then we have the dot animation with linear again. That's for the progress view here. This is a linear animation. I think it's fine that this is a linear animation, right?
Is that the circle? Yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah.
with it. Yeah, should be fine.
Because I mean, like in a real world application, of course, this would be dynamic because it would depend on some form of network state and a file being sent, and you would receive feedback. But yeah, I mean, like having this with linear also is perfectly fine, I think, right? And if you want to know more about the different easings that you can have for animations, Amos, where should people listen to?
We have a talk on Wednesday, then I think they can just listen to that, or they can just head up to the GitHub repo. We have one repo for everything. It explains all the different kinds of easings and when to use each one of them. Yeah, we call that purposeful iOS animations.
Yes. And like Amos said, we're giving a talk on Wednesday at SwiftConf in Cologne. So we're traveling tomorrow there, which will basically be all around animations and cover many, many topics there. And I know that the talk will be made available afterwards on YouTube, I think. So they have a YouTube channel where they upload the talks. So it will also be available there afterwards. But okay, so yeah, I think this is fine, right? Then we have a frame here, which just sets the height with the usage of the constants here. All right, then we have the stage text view, which has the text using the view model and the current state. Okay, we'll have a look at that in a second. With some foreground color, it's also dependent on a view model property. Also with the current state. So I think that he's using a different, like he's using basically the same approach as Matt did to have properties for a state enum. Yeah, the rest is just opacity values, right? Is text visible? The animation is also dependent on the current state. It's using an ease in with the repeating of forever to make the bottom text here appear and disappear. And yeah, triggers the animations on appear. One interesting thing is it uses an ID here. Do you know why he's using that?
I wanted to even ask about that. I have no idea why.
Okay, so I have only once needed to do this ID to set this. And when you manually set the ID, you can basically force SwiftUI to do a redraw if the ID changes.
Okay.
So you can, that's one way to basically say, hey, this view has completely changed. I don't want to show it again with slightly different look, but I want to remove it from the layout tree and introduce it again.
Okay.
I'm not sure why it's needed here, or if it's needed. I'm not sure, but at least that's what I have been doing to do this. But yeah, this is one way. Then okay, so I already said that there's the sense state enum, and if you look at this, it's an enum with a type string, and it has 3 states: sending, waiting, and sent. It's nice that like each state even uses the string attached, which is also used for showing it. So it's a nice touch as well. Then we have the text color, which is depending on the state as well. Blue when everything is sent, and gray otherwise. And there is animating. Boolean is also used with, in case it's waiting state, it's true. Otherwise, it's just false. So again, the same approach. We can have a quick look at the view model as well. It's an observable object, which makes sense. We have a timer and the current index, which is used for, let me see. Where's the current index used? Here. Oh, it's used here. Okay. We have the current state, which is the enum that we showed, and the progress is hidden. Okay. So we have the different states, and we're going through each of them. We have a single function here called update data, which is called every 2.5 seconds. So current index, smaller states.count. So if we have not reached the end of the states here, we are updating the current state, just first to waiting, then to sending, then to sent. And if it's sent, we hide the progress bar which is the progress circle, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. So this is the way he goes through the different states of the animation. Do we have any thoughts on this?
For me, I think it is quite simple also to just understand. Yeah, he just covered all the states, so everything works well with the animation.
Nice. Yeah, true. And Matt in the chat, he pointed out that the ID can be used to stop the repeat forever method. I think that's a very valid point.
Oh, okay.
Because otherwise the blinking would continue all the time once it started.
I didn't know
think you
about
can probably circumvent this if you set the repeat times to the correct value. But I'm not
can't
sure
you
if
use
it
repeat count in that sense? Instead of using
Yeah,
repeat
I think
forever, then you can just change it to repeat count, and then you can just set it to an integer value.
you should. But if you repeat it, you can't stop at if you repeat it a few times, then
Yeah.
it will always end on the end state, right? And if you wanted to stop at the start state, it shouldn't be possible, right?
Yeah, that is true. I think so.
So yeah, I think that's probably the explanation to do this. And yeah, Matt already said that he had to use different versions of the same view to prevent this.
Nice.
Yeah, we will have a look at that in a second.
Yeah.
But as Amos said, I think it's also a very nice solution. Like this code is very smooth, very very short and precise, which is cool. Like one thing that probably could have been done is to invalidate the timer, because this will run all the time and it will stop here. But it makes sense to invalidate this once it has basically reached the end of the iteration here. That's something that could have been done to prevent the timer running forever.
I think I saw that in Matt solution, or was it there? I think he had a way to invalidate that in Matt solution.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he did it. Yeah, but aside from that, I think it's a very nice one as well. I mean, you can see it looks exactly the way the demo looked. So we did this, like it appears. Yeah, I think it's a nice solution as well. So great job there. All right, next one. We have 10 today and we're already 53 minutes in and we discussed 2. So we probably have to speed things up a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right, next one is by Sahil Sahu. Do we have a video for this one? I'm not sure. Let me quickly do this one. Doing magic behind the scenes.
I think
there's
he has a video there. It is named demo also.
Yeah, I'm playing this. So this is how this one looks. It is very close to the one we just saw, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very close, but I think he has everything in one file.
Okay. I've opened it. Oh yeah, everything in one file, which is courageous.
Yeah.
because you can mix things up very easily. But again, like if we it's just a thing of getting out the animation, and it doesn't have to be like best programming practice. Of course, it's great to have that, but it's perfectly fine to have this all in one file. Just make it work. also very fine. All right, let's have a look at it. We have, like, I mean, we'll probably go through the next ones quicker and only stop at points that are done differently, right? Because it's not always necessary to discuss the same solutions over and over again. Okay, so we have a Z stack at the root again. We have a black color, nice. We have the circles again, which makes sense. The opacity is handled through the view model here. Same goes for the color. We have the same trimming that's going on with the rotation. We have the image, which has the tap gesture attached to it to start the animation from the view model. And then we have a VStack for the two texts at the bottom. The first one is just a constant one, and the next one is also dependent on the view model text state, which is a long chain of tertiary operators here, like checks. So if it's none, it says from Sahil. If not, if it's waiting, it says waiting. If not, if it's sending, it says sending. So I think it's probably best to use a switch statement for this one, just for better readability, because like if I would have to debug this, like yeah, no chance. So I think like a switch statement would be great. You could also have like just a variable here that says bottom text or something, that is switching over the current state and returning the text depending on that one, just as a possible solution. And yeah, like the foreground color again is dependent on text state. Same for the opacity. One quick tip: you can omit the font specifier here. That's one of the cool things of Swift, that you can omit this. Same goes for the foreground color here, right? You don't always need to write color.white, but you can omit this, and the same goes for the font here. You can just get rid of this, and Swift will automatically detect that it's of type font because it's specified in the modifier itself. So just a quick tip. All right, then we enum of text state, which has the different stages of the animation. We saw this already a few times, right? And enum definitely makes sense here. It's just a good way to iterate through the different animation stages. Starting with the none state, we have the opacity and the endpoint of the stroke, and the opacity of the progress bar. When the animation starts, the text state is set to waiting. And everything else to the initial state. And then it's calling the start waiting function with the completion handler, which is probably repeated, I would assume. So what does it do? So the start waiting function calls the start sending function, which uses the async after. So after 1 second, it says the stroke end is 0 and the text state is sent. And it waits for another second to animate the progress bar opacity to 0. Okay. Ah, yeah. Okay, so now I get it. So it's the start waiting is called first. After it's finished, it's calling its completion handler. So this one. And the start sending also takes a completion handler and calls then the last functionality here. All right. So the start waiting uses a scheduled timer with interval of 1, repeating true. If total time is larger than 0, it says waiting opacity equals 1. All right, so it basically that's the way to differentiate the different opacities of the text. So that's the blinking effect. And I think that's the alternative to the ID repeat forever combination that we had before.
Yeah.
So basically you have the animation shooting again and again. And if the opacity is 1, it's changed to 0. And if it's 0, it's changed to 1. And the durations here are probably just like trying it out and then setting that. And it's also differentiating between ease in and ease out. Amos, you're the easing an expert. What do you think about that one?
I think it also works fine in this case. Or he's having the first one as is out, and then he's having the one in there else as is in. Yeah. So
Yeah,
they all work for this animation. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, so yeah, that's a different approach, right? And he's subtracting 1
Yeah.
all the time. And once it's smaller than 1, the timer is invalidated. Good. And it's calling its completion handler. So then the start sending starts. The state is updated. And it uses the scheduled timer again to update the stroke end. I mean, you can do this, and it's repeating, so it will increase all the time, right? But since this is a linear animation, you could always, you could also just do it once, right?
Yeah, it can be done once.
So you could also,
yeah.
Yeah, and if you do it once, then you don't have to like repeatedly fire the timer.
No.
If it's an easing or a spring animation, it makes sense to have different stages, so that will basically like build up with different easings. But if it's linear, then I think there's no real value in doing it like this. I mean, it works, right? It's fine. But yeah, I think like there's it's not necessary, at least, to do it with a scheduled time. You could just use a regular one. All right. So I think that's all. It's everything basically. It's again a different approach to the sequential thing with the completion handlers, which works perfectly fine. I'm not a huge fan of the completion handlers for this one, just for readability, because like it was very confusing because it doesn't immediately jump out to you what the correct order here is. So I first read start waiting, and then there's start sending coming directly after that. But actually, first this code is executed, then this one, and then this one. And like that's not no criticism about the approach that the person took, but it's just like an overall problem of the whole completion handler thing, which I think is at least more
it will be also
understandable.
great, like if you just put each part into a different file. Yeah.
True. Yeah, that's also one approach to do this. Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will see later that that's also something where the async await syntax can help a little bit, I think, at least. But yeah, again, perfectly fine solution. It just showcases a different way to do this. And yeah, I think it's also a cool approach with the completion handlers to do this. So also a very nice solution here. Do you have anything to add, Amos?
I like the animation as well. It works really nicely, and having everything in one file is nice. But if I'm the one who just need to do this, I'll just put each part in a separate file, as I said, because I saw like to have everything in one file. I saw a place where he was using fixed values for arranging the views like one on top of the other instead of using something like the layout containers. Yeah. So he was using this offset in some part of the code to place the one text on top of one another, like having them in separate files and using layout views would be really great.
Okay. Yeah, definitely agree. Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, but overall, great submission as well. It looks really, really close to the challenge that we gave, which is always, always a great achievement already. All right, next one is by JEJOTP. Do you have a name here? Chicho? It's an Indian name. Not sure I'm pronouncing this correctly. JEJOTP. All right, you're better at this one. Let's look at the video here while I open up the project. Again, you can see it's pretty close to the challenge that we gave. You can already see that it's this one is using, like, if you see the animation building up, not sure if it's really visible, but it's using different stages, right? It's animating from here to here to here to here to here to here, and I think that's not a linear animation, right?
Yeah, that's it probably should be something related to ease in, out, or something else.
Okay, let's guess. Let's guess which one it is. Let's look at this again. And the winner gets nothing.
Okay.
I think it's ease out. What do you think?
I'm not really sure. Like to move from one
step to another. That doesn't count, Amos.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
It's difficult to tell.
Okay. So I have to open this with the beta. I only have beta 4, I think. I hope it works with it, because I think beta 5 is already out. But I don't have the latest one. Okay. You should be able to see it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go through all the files. There's 3 interesting ones. So first of all, we have the content view. I'm not sure if it's used though. It's not used, so content view is irrelevant here. We have the airdrop view, which is the interesting file. And then we also have helper. Let's see. Yeah, so we can quickly go through the helper one. That's only using different colors. So the image color and the loader color, which is nice to offset this. I'd probably give it a more helpful name, maybe, to have it named something like helper colors. And you could also extend the color to have static properties for the values. Then you could use it a little bit nicer in the code here. But yeah, that's again just something to think about. All right, let's look at the code. It's overall one thing you can already see. It's 138 lines of code, so it's pretty compact, which is pretty good, right? By the way, I just checked our code. We have 114 lines, so we're a little bit shorter. Not that this is relevant in any way, but
it's not really.
Oh yeah, okay. By the way, I love this, right? that's the indicator in the beta. Oh, so nice to see the body here. All right, so we have the states. We have the airdrop Okay, there's a typo here. The airdrop states. So again, there's an enum play, which is great. We have the completion amount and there's timer running. All right, we have a timer, which is publishing every second and is auto-connected. Nice. Let's see if it's invalidated at some point. We have a Z-stack at the root and the black color in the background. Then we have a V-stack with the loader view and the name view. All right. Let's have a look at them in a second. And then on receive, the timer, like once the timer is shooting or is activated every second, if the status is sending, the completion amount, if it's set to larger than 1, or if it's larger than 1, the status is set to send, and the timer is cancelled. Nice, very good. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it. Self upstream connect cancel. I think there should be an invalidate function here as well. Let's quickly check. Oh, there's not. I'm not sure, but is it the best way? Someone knows that. I don't know about the upstream one here. Never saw that before. But yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's good that it's at least canceled, right? So it's not running in the background anymore. All right. Otherwise, the completion amount is set upwards. I think that's the progress that we're seeing, right? With different stages. But yeah, not clear yet if it's really an ease out. All right, and on appear, after 1.5 seconds, it's starting the animation, and after 3.5 seconds again, it's set to timer running, and the status is set to sending, and then this one will take place basically. So we already see that this is again a different approach on the different stages of the animation, right? So we, like in all cases, we had an enum. But for this one, like it's using like this combination of the dispatch queues and a timer, which is just interesting to see, right? That's cool to see that everyone so far has been using a different approach, which just shows
different from one another.
Yeah, there's just so many ways to achieve the same result, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I mean, yeah, that's basically it. Let's have a look at the views. So we have the loader view, which has the completion amount as a binding. Nice. And just as we discussed before, like I would put this into its separate file because it's just for me it would be easier to read and to work on. But yeah, perfectly fine to not do this in these kinds of settings. Then we have the C-stack again with the image on the baseline and another C-stack for the circles. I don't think you need this one. It will perfectly work if you put that in the same, like the circles in the same C-stack as the image. Perfectly fine, should work as well. But yeah, aside from that, it's the same code. It's the stroke first with a fixed frame, and then it's the trimming from 0 to the completion amount with the stroke of blue and the line width and the rotation. And I was wrong, so it's using an ease in out animation. I think you mentioned that, Amos.
Yeah, I mentioned
that.
Yeah. But I wasn't really sure.
I was pretty sure, and I was wrong.
Okay.
No, but yeah, so it's an ease in out. Nice. I think it's a good choice, right?
Yeah,
for this one. Yeah. All right. And then we have the name view, which has the airdrop state as a binding. Nice. And the blinking. So let's see how this person has achieved the blinking effect. So, okay, we have the text here. which is the constant text that's not changing. And then we have the title view, which depending on the current status, it is for the weighting, it shows the blink view and otherwise the title view with different colors though. Okay. So I'm curious to see how the blink view looks. So we have the title view. Okay. This has a state. I don't think this has to be a state. This could, because it's not changing. So you could get rid of the state here. You don't need this. You only need the state once the value of your variable changes inside of your view. That's basically because structs are immutable. So all the properties you have here in your view are immutable. They cannot change. And the state property wrapper just allows you to change certain values. But it's a good practice to only really put the state property on values that will change over the duration of the lifespan of the view. So we don't need it for this one. So it works perfectly fine to just have it like this. Right, but that's just a quick. All right, and then we have the blink view. I think that's the interesting one because it shows how the person is achieving the blinking animation. It has the state of blinking, and here it needs the state because this value changes, right? But the title is not used, so you could actually get rid of this. But if it would be used and it wouldn't change, then state is not necessary. But all right, then the opacity, depending on the blinking, is either 0 or 1. So it's switching between the two states. And on appear, it has the animation, which is repeating forever with an ease out, easing, and a duration of 0.75 seconds. To make this true, I think this should not work correctly, or should it? Because shouldn't this say toggle?
No. If you said, is it? Oh, the state is set to false.
Oh no, it's no. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, and it's repeat forever. Okay.
Yeah, it should work fine.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's right. Okay. So this is using the repeat forever. Again, this is used for that. And like the thing that Matt described in the chat, that it's like the way to stop the forever blinking view. In this case, it's just using different views for that. So if the status is waiting, it's using the blink view that's animating the opacity. And otherwise, it will just show the title view. So this is also a way to get rid of the repeat forever animation, to just use a different view for it. It would be interesting to see if it has any impact performance-wise. If you use the same view and switch up the ID or use a different one, I would assume it doesn't make a difference. But again, I'm not sure. So might be interesting to have a look at. All right. Any remarks on that one, Amos?
I think I like this solution. It's quite simple, like as compared to the other one as well. Just having everything here, it looks nice. Yeah. But as you said, to just separate some part of the code will make it more readable. Apart from that, I think everything works fine.
Yeah, I agree. It's a perfectly fine solution.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's perfectly fine.
Nice. So good job, Chicho. All right, next we have Chris Harper's submission. And something I really liked, I think I commented that even, is the explanation, right? It shows a little bit, like he describes what he's doing, which is a great touch, right? I really like this. It's good to understand that, like what the thought process behind it. I mean, like for a pull request, especially, that's something that's always helpful to describe what you've done. And yeah, let's quickly go through this. Some things to take note here. There is further practice of using view on property subviews versus standalone reusable views. That's something we already said here. Like you can use standalone reusable views, so your own custom view structs, or use the subviews as the variables. And we can have a look at how he differentiates between the two. Async tasks are used to drive state changes. Was this necessary? No, I felt like it. That's a perfectly fine explanation or reasoning behind this one. The task extension is used to allow seconds instead of nanoseconds because I hate it. You're not alone. We use it as well. We also hate nanoseconds. It makes no sense to only have nanoseconds available. So we also use the same extension. And I think there's a solution available. I'm not sure where it comes from. I also Googled this, and yeah. A custom progress view style is included, which I haven't seen much of anywhere. Yes, I agree. It's very cool. And yeah, that's something to look out for. So what he says is that it's better to use the progress view instead of creating its own view, because you can use the progress view style to customize the progress, right? And I think the default for the progress, I'm not sure what it looks like. So yeah, but I think it's great to look at how he did this, and it's I remember like the first time I had to implement a custom style, I was really surprised how easy it was. I think I used this for toggles once, to have like a night and day toggle, like switching between the different states, and it's been really easy. So yeah, I think it's great to have a look at this. It explores different init methods for further usability. Nice. Yeah, cool. I'm excited for this one. I'll start it and take a look at the code, or I clone it or check it out. So yeah, I mean, the animation looks pretty clean. It's the same.
This also is out or is in?
Oh, Amos, come on! Don't
No,
make me guess wrong again. Oh, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. Let's see.
Okay.
That is out.
Do you know?
I would guess is out because it's like in the end it's really becoming slower, or it could also be linear. I'm not sure if it's a very long one. Yeah, I'm going with is out. All right, here's the code.
Let's see.
And we really have to make a little bit, make it faster because we took already too much time. All right, one thing that's nice. It's using a cross-platform application, which is nice. And yeah, there's like, if you look at the code, it's very cleanly structured, right? You have utilities here. The preview assets is not that important. Yeah. What's wrong there? All right. I have to go with this one, I think. And the arrows should disappear. Nice. Okay. So let's look at least at the highlights here. All right, we have the content view, which has an observed object of the view model. One point, this should be a state object. And the differentiation between the observed object and state object is that the object that is creating the view model itself and initializing it overall, this should have it as a state object. And if you hand it down in the view hierarchy, this should be a observed object. So the view owning it needs to have it as a state object, and the rest can use it as an observed object. So if you're handing it down to the AirDrop avatar, for example, this one should have it as an observed object, the AirDrop avatar, but where it's created and the view that's really owning it should have it as a state object. That's at least the way I understand it, and I think they explained it at TapTap. So if it's wrong, then please correct me. But this is the understanding that I have. All right, but okay, let's look at this one. He already mentioned that he's using a combination of sub views here, for example, the text stack, the action button. These are sub views, and the AirDrop avatar is a custom view, and we'll have a look at this one in a second. So it's the VStack, which has the avatar and the text stack together with an action button. All right. Nothing spectacular here. Cool thing is the usage of secondary system group background. I like it. It's not it's a color that's changing with light and dark mode, which is cool to basically get that for free. All right, then the text stack is using the hard-coded Colton Westfield, some random name. Maybe there's something behind that. I'm not sure. Never heard this before. And then it uses a group. Not sure why group, to be honest. Probably to have it as the on receive here, maybe. I'm not sure. That would be something that's interesting. So if he's looking at this stream, it's interesting to know this. But yeah, it's using the state text from the view model, and it's switching it up. Like if it's waiting, the state is not waiting. It's using this text, and otherwise it's using the other text here, text view with the animation. And yeah, it says like it has this ease in out for the changing opacities. And again, I think like this is the blinking one, right? The blinking text. And he's not using the repeat forever.
No.
So it's probably happening in the view model. Whether it's like the entire updating here, because this is using the timer here in the view model, and it's updating the state opacity, so it's probably alternating between two values. At least I assume that's what's happening. And yeah, foreground color is also taken from the view model. That's nice to have all the values. All right, we have the action button, which is basically handling the button action to the view model with different buttons, like a custom button style, and disabling once the view model is running. And the control size, do you know what this one does?
Control size.
Okay.
Is it a tab area?
I think it's something like the tab area, right? It's basically describing the size of the control here, which you could have guessed from the name. But yeah, nice. All right. going through the other files. You already know that he's using the task.sleep to extend this for seconds and not nanoseconds. This is cool. It makes it a little easier to call. Going through the rest of the views here. Let's look at the airdrop avatar first. Here the observed object is correct. And you have spacing. With the like the symbol here and the progress view, which is using the custom progress view style, which is very cool, which we'll look in a second. And the opacity is changing up. It's using the ease out animation. I said ease out. Amos.
Yes. But was it the progress view?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think so. Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's using this one. Sorry, I'm just happy I got something right. And yeah, otherwise it's using values from the view model. So let's look at the progress view style. It's not a lot of code, but let's quickly go through it. So it's cool that he uses the progress view because I mean, like logically, that's what it is. It's showing a progress of the sending state, so it's very natural to use the progress view style. It has line width and the stroke style, and it has the make body function that you need to override. And he has these nice comments for that, so very, very well written, everything here. It creates a view representing the body of a progress view, so you can completely customize. It's basically the body of view, but it's just you can override the progress view's body with the style here, which is a really powerful thing that you can do. So yeah, nice. And then again, it has the C stack with the stroke. It has the label of the configuration. I'm not sure if we're seeing this. We have to check the animation again. And then we again have the trim from 0 to whatever it is with the rotation effect. Yeah, and if the stroke style is not nil, so you could actually use the stroke style here to make the circle with the tertiary label color and a style of stroke style. Okay, so the way I understand this is that you could also set a custom stroke on the circle around it, right? Right. Okay. We can quickly try this out in a second because like he described, there's different initializers here. And I think he's using the line width one, but we could also use the stroke style one and see how it looks. And yeah, let's quickly go through the view model, which is also very well documented. Very nice, very cleanly structured. So it has different states, state property or published properties. It's using the main actor, which is also a good idea, like concurrency-wise. The timer, it has different states, idle, waiting, sending, complete, and the state text depending on the enum state, and a few variables here that will control the look of the view. It updates the opacity depending on the current state. So I think that's the one where the text, the blinking text is used, right? Yeah, it's using tasks, which is also a good idea, and the await. So the async await functionality. The button has a role, which is also good, right? From an accessibility standpoint, it's always good to assign a role to a button. State color, it resets everything. It prepares, so it's also great for reusing it, that you have a function to set it to the initial state. So the reset one and the prepare ones. Like this is very good to have. And yeah, the async await nature of this is also cool. So we can, that's what we basically did as well. You can use this to run code sequentially with the try wait. So you can basically say, first sleep for 3.25 seconds, then set the state to complete. This will trigger an animation, and then wait again for 1.25 seconds to trigger another change in the opacity. All right, we have a question in the chat from Mert. He says, a senior developer used to recommend me to not include UI library and UI variables on my view model. Do you agree with this statement? Do you want to go first on this one? Or should I go first?
No, you can go.
That's good. I think it depends. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to do this, to include like to import SwiftUI, for example, in your view model. And also UI variables. It depends on how you wanna, like the view model has a certain functionality, right? And the way I understand it, at least, it's handling logic, right? In your views, you wanna basically define what you show to the users, and the view model should handle the logic behind it. And the less the view knows about what's happening under the hood, the cleaner it is, in my opinion, because it's easier to have all the logic in one place, because if you want to change or if you need to change something, it's great to have that available in one place. So I think it's fine to use, for example, state text. So the text that's shown on the screen. While this is a UI thing, I think it's totally fine to have that in the view model, because this is something that's dependent on the logic. And I think that's the same approach that Chris did here, to have the logic all in the view model and have the UI, like if you have a look at the UI, there's not a lot of logic involved here, but it's more or less just showing something and clear view code. And I think that should, in my understanding as well, be the goal, to have a clear separation there. But I know that like other people have other opinions, so and I'm not saying that my opinion is the correct one or anything. Like it's just I don't like this very clear definition always, to say you should never have UI variables, for example, in the view model, because I think it just depends how you use it. Probably the most important thing is to just stay consistent with it. So if you handle things the same way across your application, I think that's probably the best way to go. But yeah, if you're working together with other people, it makes sense to clearly communicate how to do it, like with everybody. And yeah, so does that answer the question? Feel free to post in the chat. And Amos, do you have anything to add to that?
I think if the person is just able to give some reason why you don't need to do that, I think it will just make sense in that case, because for me, I see it is just totally fine to just do it in this way.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, as you said, it depends on the person. He may also have some tangible point why you shouldn't do it in a certain way. So that is also fine.
Yeah, and like one thing I can recommend to you is, if you have a different opinion on that, then just ask the person, right? As Amos said, like ask why. And you can give a reasoning. You can say, okay.
Yeah,
so,
he may have a tangible reason for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's totally fine to challenge the opinion, right? If you think
Yeah.
like you have a good point on why you want to do it, then just ask and say your point, and
Sure.
you can have a nice discussion. You will learn from that. Yeah, just go ahead. I think it's always good to not take everything for granted, but to at least challenge the things that people say. Yeah, that's one advice I can give. All right, we need to continue. So I think it's also a very, very clean solution. It's probably the one with the best architecture and the cleanest way to structure the code and everything. So huge kudos to that. So very, very clean one. Yeah. What do you think, Amos?
Yeah, I like it. Like I like his documentation, like the way he just organize everything into folders and files. Makes it really easy to follow. Yeah, he just write everything professionally. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks very clean. So very good solution as well. Right, next one is that's Christian Amodio's PR, and we already commented on it. So we
is it the one? Oh,
run it.
Did you try? Did you try?
I tried.
Okay.
And the good thing is that he already says, I hope I've done everything correctly. I'm really bad at using GitHub. And yeah, that's not a problem. Like Amos already commented on it. So we can show it. We hope that you'll include everything in the zip file, and then we can happily have a look at this. But I mean, we can look at the solution.
I still don't know the reason why it doesn't work. I think in challenge 1 the same thing happened.
Yeah, that's true. And the reasoning is that like he included a zip file with the Xcode project, but it was not the entire project, but a lot of files were missing, which is why we couldn't run it basically. So if you create the zip file, you need to include, you have to include all the files in it, because it uses a lot of different files that you maybe not directly see. So it doesn't only need, for example, the content view, but much more. So yeah, feel free to still add that. We're leaving the pull request open, so you can always resubmit this. All right, we have 4 more to go. And the next is by Mert, who's also in the chat. So I really loved this one as well. So let's already have a look at it, and I'll check it out in the meantime.
Did Mert submitted 2?
No.
Is it?
Only 1.
Oh, okay.
So I really love the idea with the eyes here of the people that are turning into a smiley once the animation is done, right? This is also a great touch to add some fun to it, right? I was really surprised when I saw this, and I really had to laugh. So great idea, and also great execution. It looks really cool, right? The eyes are coming from the circle here, so that's very cool to see. Like having them here
fun into the animation.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And like the circle animating in here, just a very, very cool touch. So the circle is basically the head of the person here, right? If you see the person, like the head is expanding. So it's a very cool touch. Yeah, and I think that was the most, that one and the one from Matt were the most creative ones. So already mad respect for that. They look great. And let me open it up. Let's see. I think it's using a Swift package. Yep. All right. And Mert, he wrote something in the chat again. He asked, and he said the view model and definition should only include data processing and logic. It's showing UI, but I agree with you. It should depend on the project. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like, I think the whole architecture thing is always a debate. But in the end, it should probably be like whatever works. So it clearly helps to have a clear distinction and a clean architecture, but I don't think there's a one solution fits all approach that can be used. So for certain projects, it certainly makes sense to have a clear distinction, like to only have data processing and view models. But yeah, like we said before, I think it really depends on the project and what you want to achieve there. All right, let's look at the solution. Again, it's using a Swift package, which is a nice touch. So you can basically reuse this with the Swift package and include it into a project, which is a very, very cool thing to have, right? He has, that's what we talked about earlier, the extension to the color with the static properties there, or static constants, which is very easy to use in code and very natural. So yeah, that's a cool touch to it. There's some other constants like enum, like these different states. We saw that already. This is common across all the solutions. We have different devices as an enum. It's iterable is a very nice touch, so you can loop basically through all the cases there are, which is very nice. We have a view model for the content view. Nice. And we have another view model for the person batch view, which is also nice. Like just like separate out logic for and have view models for all the, like a different view model for each view, which is also cool. I like it. Good thing to do. And then we have the different users here with UIDs, which is also nice, and names. So if you look at the content view, view model contains dummy data. Yep, makes sense. Person batch views are displayed on 3-column lazy vgrid. Yeah, I saw like also using a vgrid, like a grid, and even the lazy vgrid that is lazy loading the properties, which is very performant. So great job on that one. Right, then we have a state progress and the view model state object here. Nice. And then we have the grid layout here, which has basically 3 items, 3 grid items with a flexible width. So they are all taking the same width. Right, and then we have like an explanation tab on the individual icon. Right, long press to reset. Cool. That he also included a reset functionality. Really nice. All right, then we have the vgrid here, and for each of the dummy users, he's showing the person batch view with the user, a nice aspect ratio to make it a perfect square. And yeah, that's basically all there is here, right? And I think we can jump to the person batch view. All right, he first of all is using the, like for the blinking status text, he's using a file private struct for the view, which is taking a binding. I probably would just like create a view from this, but yeah, it's also personal preference. And then, yeah, he said there's no optimal solution to stopping repeat forever animations. The recommended way of doing this is switching between animated and non-animated versions of a view, which makes it a bit uncomfortable. A stop method for animations would be appreciated. Yeah, I agree with you. Stop animation would probably be cool. But again, it's yeah, there's different ways to get rid of this. So I think it's also fine. One thing that's nice is like he's using the text color clear here. to make it transparent and not using the opacity, which is nice. I never thought of this. But yeah, that's a cool approach. Did you ever do that?
No, I have used it before, but I haven't used it for animation.
Yeah, same. But nice, cool idea, definitely. All right, and we have the progress ring, which is using a geometry reader, and again the combination of the two circles. I mean, we don't have to discuss that anymore. Probably that's the same way that other people have done it. It's using a binding to the progress amount. So let's see. We have the state object for the view model here, which is this one, which is initiated with a delay. So it's a random delay, which is also a cool touch to have it switch up between different values. The device text color, different states here. It's initializing the user. I don't think you need this initializer actually, because structs have default initializers for the properties. So I think you can get rid of this one, and it should still build. Let's quickly test this. So it's building right now. It succeeded. And if I remove this and build again, it works just fine. So yeah, like you get these initializers for free with structs. So that's very helpful that you can get rid of them. All right, then there's a lot to unpack here. We have a geometry reader, the V-stack with many Z-stacks inside. So we have first the Z-stack with a circle and user icon view. All right. We'll have a look at this one because that's where the face magic happens, I think. Right. And then we have the progress ring. We saw this one, right? And we have frame, okay, aspect ratio on receive. So that's the different states here. Once the state changes, the different aspects of the UI are changed. Like Matt already mentioned that he didn't, like he initially, or he didn't put the view code in the view model, which is like, this is perfectly fine. You can do it, right? But it's, yeah, so he's switching up the values here. He has the tap gesture and the long press gesture, which is nice. And the logic for that is in the view model then, which is also a good approach. And yeah, he's using like to switch up between the different, like the blinking state and the other text. He's just using an if else, which is a perfectly fine approach, I think. All right. I don't think there's anything else here. So should we have a look at the user icon view?
Yeah, I think that is the only one left. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's quite a bit to unpack. So we need to speed up a little bit, but yeah, let's go through it. Start and angle. So we have an arc. Store of arc starts from 90 degrees. Edit for start angle, subject for end angle, and start. That's a lot.
I think that is the one which animates the mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the mouth. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, represents the smile. Nice. So that's a custom path. Very elegant. It's an arc. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Yeah, that's the arc here. Very cool. And the animated eye view. All right. What is that? That's an H stack with two circles. Nice. And a spacing in between. It's changing the color. All right. Nice. Primary eye color. Then the eye view is, what's the difference between the animated eye view and the eye view? Is he even using the eye view? Oh yeah, he is. Oh yeah, okay.
Can you go to the
it's
animated eye
here.
view again? Oh, yeah.
This one?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, he's switching between the two, like depending on the current state of the animation.
Okay.
And the arc with the smile, like this is only shown once it has reached a certain state, right? Does he do it? Let's see. Like the arc is with the degrees, right? The degree is 0 in the beginning. Oh yeah, all right.
0.
So this is then animated once it's sent, right? It's animating to 30 degrees, which makes the smile effect then. Wow. And he mentioned that in sent state, forever blinking stops. Yeah, that makes sense. It's not here, I think, but in the text one. So that's another way to get rid of the blinking. Yeah. But yeah, I love this. This is already great, and yeah, that's also one of the cool things. The circle, right, which is the head that's animating in then. This is using a user icon head view with a circle and an offset. So this is the body of the animation, right? And the user icon head view is the expanding part that has the eyes on top. Nice. I love it. It's also using combine, as you can see here. But yeah, that's very cool. Like it's using the offsets here for the body and the head and the scale of the head. And overall, that's an awesome looking animation. Like we don't have time to go into it in more detail, but let's just have a quick look at it again, because yeah, it just looks great. Anything you want to add, Amos?
I think I really like the extra steps he took to just add this animation of the mouth and the eyes. Yeah, it really looks great. I like it.
Yeah, it's very elegant as well, right? With the
Yeah.
custom shape and the animatable data. Yeah, it's a very cool solution. So a lot of respect.
Yeah. So
Guys, I'm using an iPad here, not UI.
So anytime we just put a challenge there, you just have the right to just go any mile, like add in any effect you want.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, Matt, you were the one who did the cool, crazy circle progress view one in the last one. So respect that you once again found a great way to add a nice touch to it, which looks amazing. So yeah, that's looking really good. It's a really creative idea and really good execution as well. Very clean. So yeah, very nice. Don't have anything to criticize there. It's looking great. Great job.
Nice.
All right, we have 3 more to go. We have one from Shanmukh Pulari, who's just learning, which is always great. First attempt on SwiftUI, a lot to learn. I don't think you see it, right? I mean, it's looking good, right?
When was this submitted?
A few days ago, I think. Let's just have a look at it. So this was submitted 6 days ago.
Then I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen this one.
Yeah, nice. Right. And he said like he's a beginner, so it's cool that people who are beginning are doing this. That's amazing. It's always great to see. So yeah, I really like it. So I just have to find where it is. Let me see, what is it called? This one. All right. here we have it. And look, let's look at this. So we don't need this one. Just need more space. All right. Again, that's by Shanmukupulari. All right, let's look at it. We have state variables again. The progress status. We have other state variables. We have a timer again. Nice. We have a progress color. We have the VStack, tap an icon to start animation. Then we have the airdrop view, which receives the timer updates. And if the start airdrop animation, yeah, basically this just iterates through the different states, which is good, right? And it updates here. So it's again using the timer to iterate through the different states, which is a good approach, I think, right?
Yeah.
Very simple and still very readable, right? So the timer shoots, and every time you check which current state of the animation there is, if the progress state is started, if it's not connected, if it's connecting. One good idea probably is to use a switch statement again here, to not check for the different if, else if, and else ifs, to just do a switch statement, which is a little bit more readable to know where in the animation process you are, but it's also fine if it works, right? And then on tap gesture, the start is done and the values are reset. So it's also a nice approach. So very good. So we can probably have a look at the airdrop view again. Here we see the different progress states, which are more than the other ones, but that can be fine as well, right? There's some parameters handed in, some states, status get progress status text. Where's this one? Oh yeah, it's a static function. And yeah, it's switching over the progress. So yeah, the text is shown like this. It's a fine approach, right? It's just a lot of code inside here. So probably a good idea would be to extract this into a view model. Then the view code is a little bit more clear, right? And more readable. All right, but again, there's the circles with the strokes, the trimming, and the person here. You probably like. I think he created a. You know, where does he get it from? The person image. Oh yeah, it's a UI image. Yeah, it's fine. And then the different texts, like the device name and the progress. Like this is again using the blinking here. So yeah, I think overall it's also a clean solution, right? It's using many of the other approaches that we've seen before, so we won't go into too much detail, but like knowing that it comes from a beginner, I think it's a pretty good solution, right? It's using a lot of advanced concepts.
Yeah, sure. Like to try this for the first time, I think he did a great job in this solution. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. All right. So we have two more left. One is our Android guy. I always love to see this. And yeah, like have a look at this one first, and I'll pull up the code. I think that's PR9. Yeah. But yeah, overall it's looking nice, right? It's a little bit different than on iOS because you don't have many of the things available in Android, and you have an iOS, and it's way harder to animate everything. So so yeah, I think he did a great job. Let's open up Android Studio here. I already had a look at this one. But yeah. So if you look at it, so he asked if we could have an Android expert on the stream, and we couldn't. So we didn't find anybody who had time. But yeah, let's at least quickly go through it, and you can see the animation again here in the simulator.
We have someone, but the time difference is really wide, so he cannot join this live stream.
Yeah. And yeah, Matt also said, I think this would be the closest thing to AirDrop on Android. And I agree. Like, especially thinking of like, this is a very different platform and things are done differently there. I think it's a really close solution here. So great job there. And yeah, let's quickly look at it. So one cool thing that Android has is the value animator. So you can animate between different values with this one. You can set a duration and an update listener, which takes the value, like the animated value, and assigns it to the alpha here. And I think that's for the blinking effect here, if I'm not mistaken. So if we run it again, we can see that this is the waiting part, right? And once it's done, it's set to sending and then to send. So a cool usage of the value animator to change up the alpha again. Yeah, and then we have the arc animation. So you can already see that this is much more complicated on Android, at least in the traditional way. To draw. So he basically had to manually draw everything on screen. So like mad respect that you achieved this, and like the effect looks really close to the iOS solution. So great job there. And like he's animating the percent here of the graph of the circle, right? And he had to check for build versions. So yeah, I think like it's way more complicated. So that's a great achievement to still do the same thing. And yeah, to do it with a custom canvas and drawing on it. So yeah, great job doing it. I wish I would understand everything that's happening. I don't. But yeah, I think I still think it's a great achievement that he was able to do this. And here you can see the layout file, right? So yeah, I really like it. It's a good solution. It's looking very close to the iOS one. And yeah, maybe for the next time we will see some Chatpack Compose, but that's a different thing to learn. That's for sure. So still, I really love that you submitted this one. You definitely get the best Android solution points, or the best Android solution award, right? And yeah, I think you did a great job there. And yeah, nice. we are trying our best to get our hands on an Android expert to have a better grasp on this one. Cool. Right, and the last solution, we got this yesterday by Xavier Lowmiller, and again, he wrote a few things in the pull request, which is always a good thing. He described his approach. So he identified 4 states: choose recipient, waiting, sending, sent. That's the enum we always saw. So he identified this. There's 2 animations: passing text and ring progress. He used a function for that. And like what I like about this is like you can definitely learn from this, right? So this is how we break down animations when we see them, right? So, I mean, once we took a look at this animation and thought about how to solve it ourselves, like we sat together and we played the video of the animation over and over again to identify the different states, right?
Yeah.
So it's very good to see the approach that Xava took here, because it's like if you see an animation that you want to rebuild, like this is a perfect approach to do this. So great that he describes this here.
Nice.
And I'll play it. Check it out. Okay, so it's again a very close solution to the original one, I think. And let's see. What is it called? Change to. Where is it? Oh, it's a Swift package again. Which one is it? So this is, it's here. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay. I'm not sure if it's opening correctly. Okay, nope. Give me a second. I have to move things around a little bit.
Okay.
I think it should work now. It doesn't. Give me a second. I need to clean up because through all the messiness I've done here, my repo is really messed up. So give me a second to clean this up a little bit more. I mean, you can already. Do you have anything to tell? I don't think so, right? We'll be done in a second. This is taking longer than we initially intended, right?
Yeah,
but,
maybe if for the next time we need to go through each one of them really quickly so that we don't spend too much time, and then we don't need to go over time.
Yeah, you're right. That's probably a good idea. Okay, give me 1 second. Close. And I have it. All right. So it's also really quick. I think it's only a few files, right? So we have. No, get rid of this. All right. What do we have? We have the view itself, which is using the view builders to have the different subviews here, right? We have, depending on the state, like on the face of the animation, we are showing different values here, like sending, sent, waiting, and picking the recipient, and the pulsating text is used. We have the ring view, which is a circle with a stroke, right? That's something we're also used to. We have like the show animations, which is using a very similar approach again. It's using the async after, right? So after 1 second, the phase is set to waiting. After 4 seconds, the phase is set to sending. And after 6.5 seconds, it's set to send. Perfectly fine approach, right? We saw this before. And in the body, we have a V stack with a C stack. And we have the different views stacked together. So this is also nice. And on the appear, it shows the animation. So it's going through the different phases of the animation, which are defined here. Then let's quickly go through the different views. We have the icon, which has the person and the circle with the stroke. Right, with the stroke width that's set here using the geometry reader, which is nice. We have the pulsating text, which has an opacity of 1 minus animation state, and the animation state is set to 1. And it uses the repeat forever 1 and switching it up for the different states. And then we have the ring progress view that is using the stroke here with the trimming. So we also saw this one. So yeah, I think there's not too much to discuss here, probably because we saw a lot of these points already. Again, I think it's also a very, very clean solution, right?
I think it's also similar to most of the approaches the previous ones used. Yeah, so it's very clear.
Yes, I really like it as well. And yeah, I mean, it's just clean. It's again, it's using different structs where necessary, and where not necessary, it uses the view properties to break things up into smaller parts. So I like the way the code is structured in general, which is very nice. All right, these were all the solutions. We will quickly have a look at our one. It's not spectacular. We don't doing any spectacular things here. We're bad because we're using one file for it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like at least I think it's a pretty clean solution as well. So I mean, we have the enum as well with the different states of the animation. Like most of the people have 4 states. Naming is slightly different, but well. Yeah, we're animating the opacity and the angle depending on the animation state. We hard-coded the line width and the image size here. We're using a Z stack with a clear color in the background, and then a V stack of the image, which is overlaid by a circle, which is again overlaid by a circle. We could also have used the Z stack here. It's also perfectly fine. We decided to do the overlay pyramid here. Not sure it's the cleanest idea. So I think I'd probably do it with the C stack if I had to redo it. But yeah, also fine because it gets the job done. Yeah, it's the 2 circles. We saw that a few times already. Like I think here, like depending on the animation state, we are showing the text in the bottom text. The waiting one is using the opacity here. We are using a repeat count for that. So the repeat count of 7 to make to achieve the blinking state here. I think that's one way to get rid of the infinite auto reversing repeat count thing. But yeah, that's just our approach here because it's also changing the text once the state changes. I think the only interesting thing that we could mention here is that we basically use the task on the appear basically here to use the task.sleep function with the try await. And we discussed this, and we really liked this approach because it's pretty readable, I think, because you don't have the completion handlers and you don't have to use the dispatch queue async after functionality, which we had in the beginning, but we switched it up because we thought it's very, very readable like this. So first you wait 4 seconds, you set the animation state to waiting, you do the animation here, you wait for 3.5 seconds, you set the state to sending, do the animation, sleep again for 2.4 seconds, and then change it up. And I think we agreed that this is a pretty, at least for us, it's a pretty cool way to go through the different steps of the animation and have some wait time between them. But again, the other solutions have been really nice as well. It's just different approaches to the same problem. But yeah, do you have anything to add, Amos? I'm talking so much today. I'm sorry.
I think all the other solutions are also really, really great. So we thank everyone for just spending time to just go through all the solutions.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's very great to see. We're always happy to receive each and every one of the solutions. It's always nice to see how people approach different problems and offer different solutions to those. We always enjoy talking about them and discussing the solutions, so keep them coming. There will be a video again with the next challenge, so watch out for that. We haven't finished that one yet.
Maybe in 1 week time also. Yeah, we'll just publish that.
Yeah, it's a pretty busy time for us as well. So, but we love it. We really enjoy doing this. So there will be the next one soon. So feel free to follow us on probably Twitter is the best place, right? And we'll share more about that. But thanks again for the great solutions and the great contributions. We really enjoyed those. There's been some very creative ways to do things and nice touches to the animation. And you've added a lot more fun to it than we thought was possible. So great job on that.
Yeah. It's really great to learn from one another. We learn a lot from all these solutions, like approach we never thought we would even use for just creating those animations. Yeah. So we learn a lot. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's really great to learn from you. And we hope you learned something as well. So I'll see you, Amos, tomorrow. And yes, hopefully. And we wish everyone a great rest of their weeks. So yeah, until the next one. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.